News Channel 9 is your election headquarters. Thanks so much for joining us on Facebook Live for this 9 o'clock hour. I'm Don Guevara.
And I'm Faran. It is official. Someone has conceded in one of El Paso's biggest races tonight.
Let's get things right over to the numbers. And when it comes to the mayor's race, you can see Dee Margo there with 57% of the vote to David Salcedo's 43. Let's send things over to News Channel 9's Stephanie Seyfert. She is live from David Salcedo's camp at his watch party, where Steph, Salcedo has conceded, you said. 43. Let's send things over to...
Yes, well, we have 10 of 171 precincts reporting with Margo in the lead. David, a little earlier when I talked to you, it seemed like you were throwing in the towel. Is that still the case?
I think that, well, look, whatever happens tonight, again, I'm excited for Dee Margo, and we'll see. I'm happy. I'm pleased with our performance, and kind of it's hard to hear, but anyway, I'm very happy for what happened tonight.
Have you called your opponent Dee Margo at all tonight?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you called your opponent Dee Margo?
I called Dee Margo. I told him good job. I told him I'm real proud of him. I'm real happy for him, and I told him that I'm ready to help him if he needs my help. But good. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for El Paso.
You know, there's a congressional seat that's up. Is that something that you're considering?
I want to focus just on being a dad for now.
Are we going to see you at all in the local politics scene?
We'll see. I learned a lot. I'll tell you what. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the local political scene. I learned a lot about the voice of the people here in El Paso. A lot of people that typically didn't vote came out and voted. That meant a lot to me, and it really is something that I'm going to hold on to and cherish. But we'll see. I'm going to take everything one day at a time.
And anything you would have done different in your overall campaign?
Not really. I mean, look, I ran against a Dee Margo who is established, is well known. He's been around. I mean, it's very hard to be a political newcomer, but I did what I did. I did it my way. I think the press knows that. You know, I came out with honesty, and at the very least, what I want El Paso to know is that my integrity is not compromised, and that's what makes me happy.
All right, David, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and send things back to you all at the studio.
All right, Estefania, thanks so much. Well, now to the man who has about 3,000 more votes, Dee Margo. He's in the lead for mayor. Let's send it over to News Channel 9's Alejandra Briones. She is live from Margo's watch party in West El Paso. Allie, how's it going out there?
Yeah, it is still a celebration here in West El Paso for Dee Margo's watch party, and he joins us now, again, in the lead, and now we know Salcedo has conceded. But Margo, David said that he is happy for you, he wants you to be successful, he is supportive of you, and says that he is here to help you with anything. Do you have a message for him tonight?
Well, I told David on the phone I appreciated how gracious he was, and that I would very much keep in mind I need all the help I can get.
Now, this is a very exciting day for you, a lot of days of hard work leading up to this. Talk to me a little bit about your emotions right now.
Well, right now I'm tired. I don't know how much I've got in the way of emotion, but you know, we were at polls all day today in the sun, so we're kind of worn out. I think it'll sink in more tomorrow than anything else. I'm just trying to. I'm most appreciative and gratified by the voters of El Paso, and I want to commit to them. I'm going to bust my rump.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll check in again with you in a little while, all right? Okay, guys, so, you know, now we know that David has conceded, and they are celebrating here for Dee Margo, who is now going to be the mayor-elect for the city of El Paso. And you heard it, he's tired, but he's very excited and very happy. We'll have more with him coming up tonight at 10. Reporting live in West El Paso, Alejandra Briones, News Channel 9.
Yeah, a lot of candidates are going to be really tired after this tonight. Now let's go to race for District City 2 rep, which covers Central El Paso. Out of the original 6 candidates, it's come down to those 2 that you see there on your screen, incumbent Jim Tolbert and challenger Alessandra Anello. News Channel 9's Patrick Hayes just spoke to Alessandra Anello, who is actually out of town. She's getting married tonight. He's live in our newsroom with her reaction. Patrick, what'd she have to say?
Well, as you saw, Jim Tolbert is down by 650 votes, and I talked to him about an hour ago. He said it would be really hard to catch up. I also spoke to Anello. She says she's grateful for everyone who voted for her and looks forward to making a positive impact.
I'm so thankful to the residents of District 2, you know, for believing in me, for going out and voting for me, and I am so excited to be a representative that they're proud of. I'm so excited to, you know, give them back, you know, what they've kind of feel like they've been neglected for a while, and you know, I'm excited to be a voice for them.
Again, Anello is currently leading Tolbert by 650 votes. Anello also told me that she wants to focus on capital improvements and listening to residents. Reporting in the newsroom, Patrick Hayes, News Channel 9.
All right, Patrick, turning now to the race for District 3, which includes portions of central and south central El Paso. This is the seat currently held by Emma Acosta, but of course she gave it up in her bid for mayor. Let's take a look at the numbers. Cassandra Hernandez-Brown beating Jaime Barcelo. She's got 59% of the vote. He has 41. Moving on now to the Northeast and District 4, the seat currently held by Carl Robinson. Robinson has reached his term limit. This is a close one between Sam Morgan and Shane Haggerty. You can see Morgan, 54% of the vote, Haggerty, 46. Turning now to News Channel 9's Course Nylander. He has more on this race. Course.
Well, Don, we're at the Sam Morgan watch party here at Arnavino's Pizza in the Northeast. Very excited supporters of Sam Morgan here. As he is ahead about 6% at this point. We saw a slight jump in Shane Haggerty's numbers here recently. First off, how do you feel about that? Do you feel it's coming closer and closer, or do you feel you have it in the bag at this point?
I don't necessarily think I have it in the bag. We're going to watch the numbers come in, but we feel very confident that those numbers are going to hold.
And I was talking to several of your friends and supporters out here, and they all tell me they're so proud of you because the last time you went up against Robinson, you came very, very close, but of course didn't pull out on top in that race. But here you are ahead in the race, looking very good for you at this point. Your thoughts on the support and all of that?
Well, my thought on the support is I've had tremendous support from all these folks that are here tonight. They got behind me, they stayed behind me, and even after the May 6th election, we knew we had a lot more work to do, and every one of them toughed it out and got out there. That's what it's about, teamwork.
Thanks so much, Sam Morgan. We're going to be watching those numbers very closely. Still just early results at this point, but as we mentioned, Sam Morgan is pulling ahead as of this moment. We're live at Northeast El Paso. It's in Course Nylander, News Channel 9.
All right, Course, thank you. And filling out the El Paso City Council District 8, this is the seat that was left vacant by Courtney Nyland, who resigned back in April. Now, this district covers a big chunk of West El Paso, downtown, and parts of South Central El Paso. Of the 5 running for this seat, Robert Cormel has the majority, followed by Sissy Lizarraga. In order for the candidate to win, now they must have 50% plus 1. You can see that Robert Cormel is about 10% away from that. But again, these are the two, so this is likely mostly going into a runoff here, as you can see by those numbers.
Yeah, some more voting potentially. Let's turn things over to our political analyst. He's been with us all night, Dr. Richard Pineda.
He is the director of the Sam Donaldson Center for Communication Studies at UTEP. Thanks so much for hanging out with us all night tonight.
You're welcome.
I want to go back to the mayoral race. We heard David Saucedo talk about how when he entered this race, he was up against an established candidate, a very well-known candidate. He came into this race very aggressive against DeMargo. Was that a good play, or what do candidates need to do when they are going up against someone that's very established?
Well, I think the gut reaction is to try to go strong, but the challenge is that really a campaign like this depends entirely on infrastructure. So the time spent trying to pick this fight with DeMargo or with the broader field during the general election is really time that should have been better spent knocking on doors, especially in areas where he might have been able to get traction. If you look at where Saucedo did well in the general, and even looking at in today's results, those are areas where he should have been building that base from the very beginning. So in some ways, I think that it's a candidate's sort of mythic idea to try to challenge the big dog. I think really that's an infrastructure question, and I don't think that was handled very well by the Saucedo campaign.
And I think if you're going to challenge a big dog like Margo and try to chip away at what he's doing, that's one thing. But when you're also doing the same thing, he came after him saying, hey, you're getting money from the highest zip codes in El Paso. Well, so was Saucedo. Right. And he was, trying to get Dallas money. He was trying to, run as sort of the people's candidate. And I just don't think the people bought that.
Well, I think the narrative of being anti-establishment only works if in fact you're challenging from this grassroots perspective. I don't think that was the case, and I think that played itself out. I think the other real issue, which is the name recognition factor. So Margo coming into this gets a lot of attention and I think a lot of praise from the community for his leadership on the school board race, or running the school board, and I think that was significant. I think people remember that. I think education and economy still ring very true to people, and if you don't have a way to counter that, then you're essentially pushing uphill the entire time.
And we were talking about name recognition. If you go to the District 8 seat, which is one where that's a special runoff for Courtney Nyland's seat, we have Robert Cormel at 41% with Sissy Lizarraga 23%. You know, both of these names are very well known, but Cormel, though, he did run for mayor. Obviously, he lost, so then he came to this seat. But it's one of those things in the runoff. Do you think that his name recognition will eventually help him win?
Well, I think to your question, Faran, I think there's no question that he comes in really as the favorite, not only in terms of votes in this election, but I mean his presence in the district was really strong. You have to remember that by the time we get to that runoff election, voters in the county have now been essentially engaged in a political process since November. So, Don mentioned in our previous segment voter fatigue. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I wouldn't be surprised if in this runoff election the numbers are even lower than we saw today, which would be remarkable and sad. But I do think that name recognition in a race like this is crucial. I think back to that infrastructure question, you now have a narrow window in which you've got to figure out how to target parts of the district that you did not win. I think that becomes very challenging for any of the candidates. But in this case, obviously, Lizarraga going into the runoff for 8.
Let's talk about District 3. Here comes the bride, but also here comes the ethics investigation, because that's really what took a lot of these candidates out. It took out
Lily Limon. It took out Oscar Leeser, who was looking at
District 2, excuse me, with Tolbert.
Right. Yes. Yeah. We had Oscar Leeser, who was thinking about a congressional seat, then backed down. Lily Limon.
Courtney Nyland.
Now this.
Yeah, I think that one of the most interesting things, I mean, something that I think that each of these new members of City Council are going to have to really think about is not only whatever agenda items they want to bring to the front, but also the idea of regaining public trust, and that's going to take, I think, a tremendous amount of effort. They also will have to go through a primer on ethics, and I suspect that this time around, each of these new City Council elect members are going to spend a lot more time paying attention to those briefings to understand exactly what is in play. So I think that there's a couple of things that we'll see in terms of a shift for council, and one of them is going to be, I think, a realignment of some of the alliances. I mean, you've got people that are new, so that'll factor into it. And then it'll also be interesting to see if, in fact, this investigation gets resolved anytime soon. Of course, the last sitting member of council that potentially will be affected by this is Representative Schwartzbaum. So you still have a potential fallback or fallout as we work our way into the next couple of months.
Yeah, timing is everything in politics.
It really is. Now, looking back again at the mayoral race we had earlier on our Facebook Live at 8, we had David Saucedo come out and say that he is, in fact, a Republican, along with Dee Margo. A lot of people right now, I'm sure, are very possibly worried because we are in a very blue county, and now we have a Republican mayor. Does the mayor have that much of a, I guess, hold over a lot of what's going to happen in the city? Because a lot of people argue, oh, well, it's, you know what, don't worry too much because we still have the city manager.
Right. Well, that's a great question. I think that partisan politics plays out in El Paso, especially at city government, not necessarily on agenda items, but more about perception of how the community is treated outside of El Paso. So I think when it comes to leverage in Austin, when it comes to issues where the state becomes involved, some of those things may play out to the benefit of the mayor, but I don't necessarily know that we'll see any of the trends in terms of shift. Where I do think this will be interesting is if somebody like David Saucedo decides that he wants to invest the time to make a congressional run or to be more active. As I said in one of our earlier segments, I think that the real question right now for both the county Democrats and the county Republicans is, can they get their houses in order to engage people so that their sense is not only that you're developing potential candidates, but that you're teaching people about how the infrastructure of a campaign works. What's happened, at least in this election, is a very quick run-up where both county political groups seem to wait till the last minute, and I think that hurts all the candidates in the field because they don't get the training and the connection to resources that they could have.
And one of the other big questions, too, is we didn't see a lot of strong Democratic candidates come out this year, but then a lot of people also argue that it might have been voter fatigue, where we had the big election, the national election for president, and then you have all these other little elections coming afterwards. Do you think, Richard, this was more of a problem, more of a candidate problem, or more of a voter problem in a lot of the Democrats losing a lot of their stronghold here?
You know, that's a great question, and it's an issue that I think is really important. And I do think that the county Democrats owe the voters of El Paso a stronger commitment to foster candidates earlier. I think the county Republicans have a responsibility to try to make Republican politics much more responsive to those issues. I think otherwise what we're going to see is a lot of these races where there's not a lot of effort put in by the parties, and then people sort of bend to the needs of the party afterwards. I I think that the county would be best served if we had a better way to engage those political parties. I think at the end of the day, voters are always going to have issues that will prevent them from voting. I mean, there's always going to be challenges, whether it's getting to the polls on time, whether it's getting having enough choices. I think that the county infrastructure for voting has improved tremendously over the last 10 years. I think the shortfall lies in the fact that the political parties are not engaging voters and not engaging potential candidates. I think that's the secret sauce that for some reason people seem to keep missing.
All right, Dr. Pineda, thanks so much for joining us. And we're not done. We will have a broadcast on Channel 9 coming up at 10 o'clock with even more numbers.